When a family member makes a mistake, don't lash out and don't walk away, a 400-year-old lesson still relevant today. This timeless wisdom comes from Chaegeundam, Chaegeundam, a classic written by 17th-century Oriental philosopher Hong Zicheng. His words, "When a family member is at fault, respond neither with rage nor with abandonment," still speak to the heart of modern family dynamics, especially the often challenging relationships between in-laws. At its core, the message is simple. When a loved one falls short of your expectations, or makes a mistake, it's important not to react with anger or cut them off. Instead, approach the situation with patience, empathy, and honest communication. For example, when a daughter-in-law acts differently than you would have, responding with disappointment or frustration often damages the relationship. Taking the time to understand her perspective and working through differences with calm conversation helps keep the family bond strong. Where do tensions typically arise in family or intergenerational relationships? Across cultures, the same 5 areas often lead to misunderstandings and friction. 1. Parenting differences. Grandparents may value structure, discipline, and tradition, while younger parents lean toward emotional intelligence, autonomy, and flexibility. Common flashpoints include: why aren't you making the child finish their meal? Don't just let the baby cry alone. These different parenting philosophies can clash, especially when each side believes they know what's best. 2. Lifestyle and daily rhythms. A working daughter-in-law may prioritize practicality and efficiency in her busy routine, while her in-laws might hope for more traditional, family-centered time, especially around holidays or weekends. 3. Family gatherings and time management. Balancing time between extended families during major holidays like Thanksgiving or Christmas is a source of stress for many American families. Who gets which day, and how time is divided, can become a major issue. 4. Privacy and personal space. While the younger generation may view their home as a private, independent space, frequent visits or unsolicited advice from in-laws can feel invasive. When grandparents move in to help with childcare, even with the best intentions, lifestyle differences can lead to unavoidable tension. 5. Emotional expression styles. Younger family members often express feelings openly, while older generations may be more reserved. This mismatch in communication styles can cause misunderstandings and leave both sides feeling emotionally disconnected. What happens when conflict leads to emotional outbursts? When disagreements escalate into emotional explosions, the damage can be long-lasting. 1. Emotional disconnection. Daughters-in-law or adult children may feel disrespected and choose to withdraw. In Western cultures, this sometimes leads to estrangement, a complete break in contact. Some grandparents go years without seeing their grandchildren as a result. 2. Strain on the son or husband. Being caught between one's spouse and parents creates emotional strain and forces him into difficult decisions, often at the expense of both relationships. 3. Loss of trust. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. Without sincere apologies and real change, relationships can suffer long-term damage. 4. Disconnection from grandchildren. Since daughters-in-law are usually the primary caregivers, unresolved conflict with them can mean limited or no access to grandchildren. But what if conflict is simply ignored? Avoiding difficult conversations can feel easier in the short term, but it can lead to quieter, more destructive problems. 1. Growing emotional distance. Outward politeness may mask internal resentment. Left unspoken, these feelings build until even minor issues cause major blow-ups. 2. Breakdown in communication. Feeling unheard or dismissed, the daughter-in-law may emotionally disengage. Eventually, even birthdays or holidays may be reduced to formalities. 3. Fixed stereotypes take hold. Without dialogue, people form rigid perceptions. She's always interfering. She only thinks about herself. These assumptions make future conversations and reconciliation even harder. 4. Weakened family bonds. Grandchildren grow distant, the husband feels torn and exhausted, and the family unit starts functioning more like separate individuals than a connected whole. In closing, this single line from Chaegeundam Tan offers enduring wisdom. When conflicts arise in the family, don't be ruled by emotion. Seek understanding and choose dialogue. Because family relationships are close, the wounds they cause can cut deep, but they also hold the greatest potential for lasting connection. A kind word, a patient heart, and a sincere conversation have the power to heal and sustain those bonds for generations to come.
Bridging generational conflict with Eastern wisdom. How to heal tensions between in-laws. When a matter is too sensitive to address directly, speak through a gentle metaphor drawn from something else. This is the wisdom of Hong Zicheng, a 17th century Oriental philosopher and mystic who left behind a timeless line in his classic work, Chaegeundam. In today's world, especially when navigating the delicate terrain of in-law relationships, this ancient advice still resonates. Rather than confronting issues, head-on, especially emotionally charged ones, Hong reminds us to communicate with subtlety, empathy, and thoughtful indirection. Let's revisit 5 common sources of tension between daughters-in-law and mothers-in-law, differences in parenting styles, contrasts in daily routines and priorities, disagreements over family gatherings and time allocation, conflicts over personal space and boundaries, divergent ways of expressing emotions. When conflict occurs and emotions flare, relationships can grow cold. Here's how ancient wisdom can guide us toward healing and reconnection with grace and emotional intelligence. 1. Symbolic gestures speak louder than apologies. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry," try showing it. When emotional distance sets in, choose small but meaningful actions to reopen hearts. Gift a book or toy for your grandchild. Prepare a favorite dish or simply share a warm comment. "The baby's really growing. You must be doing an amazing job." This isn't about avoiding accountability, it's about approaching it with humility and warmth. 2. Use a third-person story to reflect and relate. Rather than admitting fault outright, consider saying, "A friend of mine said something interesting. She raised her daughter-in-law like her own, but a sharp comment distanced them for years." This kind of storytelling allows reflection without triggering defensiveness. 3. Focus not on the past, but on the relationship. Rebuilding trust starts with shared intent. "Maybe we misunderstood each other. I'm still learning too. I just wanted us all to feel comfortable as a family. I could have expressed that better." Don't fixate on what went wrong. Show your desire to move forward. 4. Choose neutral, empathetic language. Avoid blaming language like, "You always only think of yourself." Instead, try, "It felt like we were coming from different places, and maybe that led to misunderstanding." This shifts the tone from confrontation to connection. 5. Create a shared goal to unite the family. When trust is fragile, shared purposes can serve as neutral ground. Let's make sure the grandkids grow up feeling joy around family. What if we all worked on a photo album together this holiday? Mutual goals dissolve tension better than dissecting past pain. When communication has broken down completely, use occasions like birthdays, holidays, or even illness, visits as natural bridges to start a conversation. Remember when we made that dish together last year? Speak indirectly when words are too sharp. A friend of mine regrets not staying close with her daughter-in-law. It made me think, empathize before analyzing. We were both so overwhelmed back then, I understand now. Let small acts express care. A quiet favor like picking up a child from preschool or dropping off groceries can speak volumes. Use group events as emotional reset buttons. Why don't we all put together a memory book for the kids this Thanksgiving? Final thought. A deep rift may form from minor conflict left unaddressed, but even the deepest distance can be bridged with wisdom, humility, and one quiet act of kindness. Let your gestures whisper what your heart can't yet say out loud. If one does not awaken today, then wait patiently, tomorrow may offer another chance. This phrase, written over 400 years ago in an Eastern classic, reminds us that transformation doesn't always happen in the moment. Sometimes wisdom takes time to settle in. But as many of us know, this kind of patience is easier said than done, especially in the emotionally charged dynamics between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law. Why is it so difficult to apply what we already know about resolving in-law conflicts? 1. Defense mechanisms take over. When conflict arises, our sense of self feels threatened. Instead of seeking resolution, we unconsciously protect ourselves. It's not me, it's her. We project. I did my best, she's just too sensitive, we rationalize. Even though we know reconciliation requires initiative, our emotions sabotage action. 2. Emotional memory triggers habits. Our brains remember pain. A past argument leaves a scar, and the next time something feels similar, we react as if history is repeating itself. Result, we either avoid the situation or lash out, just like before. 3. Pride and ego conflict. In-law tension is not just about disagreement, it's about identity. My experience was dismissed. My values were ignored, so instead of reaching out, we fear it will make us look weaker, feel like we're losing. How can Eastern philosophy help? To put this wisdom into practice, let's revisit 3 ancient philosophies that guide us toward personal change before we expect change from others. 1. Confucianism C. 2,500 years ago, 修己之人, cultivate yourself before correcting others. Rather than fixing the other person, first refine your own attitude. True leadership in relationships comes not from control, but from virtue, from choosing connection over pride. Practice tip. Initiating peace isn't losing, it's leading. 2. Taoism C. 2,400 years ago, 无为自然 flow without force. Instead of forcing reconciliation, create a space where healing can arise naturally. A warm meal, a quiet gesture, or simply choosing not to argue. These are forms of action through non-action. Practice tip. Reconciliation isn't always spoken, it's felt in the atmosphere you create. 3. Buddhism C. 2,500 years ago, karma and mindfulness, every outcome begins in the mind. Don't just blame the other, observe your own reactions. Memories and attachments. Practice tip. When anger arises, pause. Ask yourself, is this about Noah or a shadow from the past? The problem is not lack of wisdom, it's the lack of courage to apply it. How to practice. Wait for tomorrow with wisdom and grace. 1. Accept that conflict isn't resolved instantly, but gradually, over time. In-law dynamics involve emotion, culture, values, and generations. The solution isn't a breakthrough moment, it's slow, steady change. 2. Embrace this mindset. If not today, then let me try again tomorrow with warmth. That's not resignation. It's respect, restraint, and real strength. Practical psychological strategies for everyday application. Leave emotional space. Silence is not indifference, it can be kindness. By not reacting immediately, you give others room to reflect and feel safe. Small actions, repeated consistently. One kind text, one shared memory, one gentle gesture. What matters is not a single attempt, but a consistent message. I'm here when you're ready. Lower expectations. Keep the door open. Even if they don't change today, believe they can. That belief gives you the strength to keep trying. If the heart is closed today, perhaps it's simply preparing to open tomorrow. In the end, Eastern wisdom and modern psychology agree. True change begins with patience, reflection, and the quiet courage to try. Again, a small moment at a time. A timeless reflection on in-law relationships. Wisdom from a 400-year-old Eastern classic. This reflection originates from a classical Eastern text, written over 400 years ago. It contains a profound line, 如春风解冻，如何其消病，才是家庭的心烦. As the spring breeze melts the ice, and gentle warmth dissolves the frost. Such is the true model of a harmonious household. This poetic phrase beautifully illustrates a timeless truth. A household cannot be warmed through control, coercion, or cold emotions. Rather, it is the warmth of a kind word. and the generosity of an open heart that can dissolve even the most stubborn conflicts. This ideal reflects an Eastern philosophical view of family, rooted in compassion and emotional intelligence. From a modern psychological perspective, this ancient wisdom can be interpreted in three key parts. 1. What is the ice in today's family dynamics? The ice symbolizes emotional distance, cooled affections, and psychological defenses. In the context of modern mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationships, such icy dynamics often emerge as the daughter-in-law thinking, "She's not my mother-in-law, just my husband's mother," leading to psychological distance, emotional withdrawal due to unresolved misunderstandings, resulting in a relationship where presence exists, but emotional connection does not. The daughter-in-law striving for autonomy, while the mother-in-law seeks to maintain influence, both driven by unconscious protective instincts. These tensions, fundamentally, are rooted in competing needs for self-protection and emotional security. 2. What then is the spring breeze? The spring breeze and gentle warmth symbolize key psychological conditions: safety, empathy, emotional flexibility. Conflicts are not resolved through argument or authority, but through an emotional environment that shifts from threatening to safe and warm. True resolution begins when hearts feel secure enough to open. 3. Practical approaches to melting the ice. Here are evidence-based ways to apply this spring breeze. In family interactions, respect boundaries but preserve emotional connection. Daughters-in-law value autonomy. When in-laws approach not with advice, but with emotional support, trust begins to grow. B. Speak from feelings, not blame. Saying "you were wrong" triggers defensiveness. Instead, try "I felt a bit lonely at that time." This expresses vulnerability and invites understanding. C. Don't rush to resolve. First, lower the emotional temperature. Rushing into problem solving can backfire. Instead, take time to emotionally thaw the ice, just as we must melt frozen ground before sowing seeds. As the classic suggests, a harmonious relationship is not built on skill, but on the warmth of emotion. The ancient metaphors of spring breeze, chun feng, and gentle warmth. Hechi remind us that emotional safety and acceptance, not authority, are the foundations of true family peace. This perspective offers one of the most powerful psychological solutions to intergenerational conflict. And perhaps the most elegant conclusion comes from this enduring philosophical message. The model household is not led by the one who speaks best, but by the one who can melt hearts.